Now, what I'm about to say might scare you. So I'm just encouraging you just to sit with this, not to judge me just because of this one word I'm going to say to you. Because believe me, most of you will want to turn off. And I understand why, because I wanted to turn off as well when I heard this word. The word is God. God. It's a big, fuck off big word, you know? Big word, short word, but big word. God. What does that mean to you? Does it make you go, oh, religious freak? Oh, I don't want to listen to anything you have to say? Because that's sort of how I felt. That's sort of how I felt. Until last year when I was put into a corner in life where I had no money, no relationship, I had no career, I had basically was in my backpack, and I had the support of a friend who just put me up for a couple of months whilst I was going through a big transformation and transition. I found myself in a hot little room up in the north of Thailand, miles away from anyone that could speak English, really. You know, even the friend that I was with couldn't speak English, and so we had to just use Google Translate and things like that. So I was on my own, really, in my own little world a lot of the time. I wasn't on my own. But this is where I've been placed. I lost my business, or I let my business go, and I lost it a year and a half ago, sort of a year before this happened, and went on a big journey and sold all my stuff, all my belongings, and knew I just had to head to Thailand and Cambodia. So I got into this room and I was feeling sorry for myself, and I had to look back at my life. And I'd been on this 20-year healing journey, you know, physical, mental, emotional, now spiritual. And I knew I'd been running from something. I'd been seeking something on this journey. I had been seeking. Yeah, I'd been everywhere. You know, I'd done all the plant medicines. I'd done all the types of therapies. I'd done all, like, I'd, you know, done all sorts of therapies and, you know, certifications. All great. I've read loads of books. I was eat, sleep, breathe, healing. Because where I started, I was deeply unwell. I had chronic fatigue, all environmental sensitivities, food sensitivities. I could hardly eat anything without knocking me on my ass. I had, you know, pretty much depression, bad digestion, back trouble. I had all these things and I was not happy, and I just needed to heal myself. I was like, how the hell do I heal myself from this? Because somehow I knew that it was possible. Something was going on, and this was not right. And so I went on a 20-year journey to find all the answers and heal myself and blah blah. And this healing journey became a spiritual journey of curiosity and diving deep. And then, yeah, I had this business and served me for a long while. It was a good business, but I lost my heart with it. I lost heart with my life and joy and motivation, inspiration, and I had to let it go in the end and go into bankruptcy and liquidation and sell all my stuff and just head off to Thailand with my backpack and just a few quid until that was all spent. And then fortunate to meet a bit of a soul sister, really, who was kind enough just to say, come and live with me and I'll help you out for a time. And that's where I was. And so in this room, I had to spend a lot of time by myself, feeling sorry for myself, angry, frustrated, not really wanting to see anybody anyway, especially at this weakest point I was at. After about week 6 or 7, I realised that what I've been seeking on this spiritual journey, especially the last 10 years, especially spiritual circles nowadays, you know, nothing wrong with it. We see a lot of people talking spiritual things, doing spiritual things, wearing spiritual clothes, many spiritual podcasts, great spirituality, lovely. But what I see doing, because I did it myself, was we're circling around spirituality because often there's an association in spirituality with something like religion, right? Religion. There's a lot of people who hate religion, and therefore spirituality has come in as a way to have a spiritual connection and know that perhaps there's something greater than themselves, or there's an aspect of ourselves which is spiritual, which is energetic, which is the unseen. But it's not colluding or attached to this thing called religion. And I'm not just about to, don't worry, I'm not going into religion. I'm not religious. I'm going to say however rather than but. Because I'm going to say that religion has basically cast a big dark cloud over something like God, even someone like Jesus, or anything else you might like to think, but Jesus particularly, you know. It's like, mention those words and you could freak out. I freaked out, right? These words would freak me out. So I'm in this room 6 or 7 weeks in, and I'm just thinking, where the fuck is my life going? I just thought there's no real, at this moment, what's the point in living? There's nothing to live for. Not that I was going to do anything. I really wasn't, because I've been through hard times in my life, and I've known people who really have taken their life, and I don't want to be so naive as to say that I was at that point to do that, and to disrespect anybody who has taken their lives. But I was at the point where there was just, what was the point of living? What was the reason? There's something in me that knew there was a reason, but at the same time, a big part of me was saying, fuck it, I've had enough. I've tried everything to try and find myself happy, to try and find the person that I am and that I want to be, to try and make life work for me. And I was always saying, I didn't come here with an instruction manual. I don't know what the fuck to do in life, how to live life anymore. There's so many options, isn't there? There's so many options, so many choices. How do we live life? I don't know how to do it. I fucked up too many times. I've been bankrupt twice, had, you know, a really difficult chronic illness for many, many years. I've struggled in relationships. Only recently I found out that I've had ADHD since I was a child. I knew I was hyperactive as a kid, but it never went any further than that. And I've struggled with many aspects of myself, and I just thought to myself, I am broken. I can't make life work. And here I am, 20 years on from this healing journey and this spiritual journey, having done everything that I thought I should be doing to heal, to become whole again. But actually where I find myself is I've got fuck all in my life now. I am here in a hot room in Thailand, no one around me, no money. I have people I can call on. I'm very fortunate about that, but I was in a space where I was just like, nothing was forthcoming, and I didn't have any way out, and I couldn't see any way out. So with that, I had to look at my life, and I look back at the last 20 years, and I had to say, has it worked? Has this life of spirituality, healing, has it worked? Well, look at me. In a material sense, no, it fucking hasn't. In a spiritual way, do I feel happy about myself? Am I really very different to how I was when I was younger, to how I was when I began this? And I'm like, not really. And I was going to swear again. I'm really up for swearing today, because it's a passionate subject, and it takes me back to those fucking feelings. Let's just be real here, especially with us spiritual people, you know, on this spiritual path with this label of spirituality. It's like, we've been broken, we've been down, we've been forced to have to go into areas of our life which some people might laugh at, or some people might think are stupid. We might have to question our own sanity at some points, but we've gone down this path, and sometime we'll go down these paths and we'll get to a point where we have to say, fuck, even this path has its faults and comes to an end. So where I'm going with this, I eventually realised that the thing I've been seeking in the spiritual life, I thought I'd been seeking God. I've been seeking some wholeness. Because the reason I'm saying I was seeking it was because when I realised that that might be the case, I realised I've been running away from something as well. I've been running, moving countries, moving house, moving job, running uncomfortable, looking for the answer somewhere. Life had to get me to sit still. Life had to take away my business, take away all my material income, all my connections and friendships, get me into a place where I had to sit alone and to just see where my life had got to. because I couldn't run from that anymore. I couldn't run, I had no way. And so in that moment when I realised I've been running from God, running from this label of God and religion, but also seeking something that would fill that hole, I had to say, fuck it, what have I got to lose? Do I either die by, or live a very meagre existence by continuing to run, or I face the resistance, I face it head on. And at that time, what I'd got to lose? Nothing. I'd lost everything. I'd lost everything and gained everything. I mean, we never really lose anything, that's the thing, but that's another video. But I'd lost everything, so I said, what's the harm in actually facing my resistance and doing the thing that I'm fucking scared of? And in that moment, I prayed to God and I just said, God, if you are who you say you are, then show me who you are and show me in the raw form. I don't want religion. I don't want any of that bollocks. I want to know you naked, God. Naked, raw, nothing else. That was at 2:30 in the afternoon. By 10 o'clock that night, a lady who I'd met in a cafe 4 weeks earlier, a Thai lady her and a friend had wanted to speak English with me and learn their English. We swapped numbers in case they wanted to do that again, and it's a nice social outlet for me, and they learn a little bit of English. And I got this message. I'd not heard from her since then, but I got a message saying, Laurie, I'd like to invite you to church. I was like, what? Church? Thailand? That was all Buddhist. I'd like to invite you to this revival service. It's at a church about a couple of hours away. It's on next week, and please come. I was like, oh, no. But what did I have to lose? Nothing. And I knew God was speaking to me. As much as I had not accepted God in that religious sense, I'd always had this feeling of life, the intelligence of life, that there is life. There is this spirit, this great spirit, if you like, this essence that's in all life, this divine intelligence. I've had too many experiences not to see that, and for the last I don't know how many years I've been giving my life more and more to this divine intelligence and saying, okay, that's how I was able to let go of the business, able to let go of everything, because all the signs and the guidance was to do so and to move and to go here and to go there. And each time I did and trusted, I would see the benevolence of this higher intelligence, and so I was able to trust and let go and let go and let go, to the point whereby God asked me to go to church, the thing I would very much resist, and I say, well, God, I trust in the divine intelligence and I'll go, and what have I got to lose? The very thing that God knew that I was really resisting. And it wasn't until I got then to church, halfway through the ceremony, my friend turned to me and said, go to the front, sit at the front, go and sit. There's a couple of chairs at the front, and the pastor there, or preacher, was asking us to come to the front. And I was like, why? She said, oh, you need to take Jesus as your Lord and Saviour. And I was like, fuck that, no way. Honestly, I was like, no, if the word God scared the shit out of me, then Jesus was the biggest fear of a lot of them. And so I moved out. I got out the front of the church, and I was like, I'm not going back in. She says, but you got to. And I was like, no, I don't. I came here to know God. I didn't come to know Jesus. And she said to me, oh, well, to know the Father, you've got to know the Son. And again, that's another video which I'll talk about sometime. The way to the Father is through the Son. And I didn't know what that meant. And it's, again, not religious. I'll explain this in non-religious terms another time. And I'll explain the difference between religion and relationship as well. And religion really has done us a disservice by almost disconnecting us from God, from the likes of the avatars of like Jesus or Krishna or Sai Baba or Mother Mira or these other saints and sages and things like that, because we just think of it as religion, and religion has connotations of control and manipulation and power mongering and war and all these things. And absolutely, because why wouldn't the dark accost some of the light for its own good and its own greed? But where I'm going with this is I was outside, and I said to my friend, I said, look, I came here to know God, not Jesus. Jesus is like to me religion. To know the Father, you need to know the Son. And I just remembered a dream I'd had the night before of me standing at the top of a diving board, thinking of all these reasons why I shouldn't dive into the water. And suddenly, my brother ran off the diving board, went woo, flying through the air, diving into the pool with a big grin on his face, and his name's Christian, of all things. So I just knew it, and I said, what have I got to lose? So I walked up to the front and I just said the words that I was told to say. I didn't even believe them or mean them. I just recited them like a bit of a robot, just in front of all these wonderful Thai people. I said these words, and then suddenly I felt a lightness into my body, and it was like, okay, that's something. And by that time it was clapping and applauding, and I went and sat down feeling a little bit uncomfortable. So what I'm saying here is, actually, to be honest, this video's amalgamated a few things, which I'll go into more specifics in other videos, is that first of all, the thing we're resisting is often the thing we very much need to face and we'll have to face at some stage. We can't always keep running. With spirituality, and this is what I'm wary of nowadays, is that spirituality, if we're not really going to the source of spirits, the source of everything, then spirituality just becomes another material pursuit. You know, I know there'll be a lot of people who will disagree with this, but if we're not connecting with the very source of everything, the very source of spirit, of absolutely everything, of the physical material, of the spiritual, of absolutely everything we see around us, the very essence of life itself and of creation, then we are really missing a certain point. And without that, without a way to connect to that divine source, we are going to be untethered. It's almost like lacking an umbilical cord. We are searching for that umbilical cord in everything else because we're scared of truly what we've been told about this divine source. We're scared of often how we've seen the expression of that reverence for God in this world that's created such chaos and mayhem and issues in family and relationships, in wars, in, as I say, manipulation, money, greed, selfishness, all these things in the name of God. And so what I'm saying to you is that if God is a really scary word to you, if it brings up a lot of resistance, then it's good to be aware of that and understand why is that, because that's not God. And in my own story, what I'm starting to understand is that to know God, to know the Father, as it were, through the Son, through someone like Jesus, is not a religious thing. It's just that Jesus on earth was showing us the way God is wanting us to behave as human beings. Now, God is everything and nothing. God is absolute infinity. But if we are learning how to be on this planet, this is perhaps an instructional manual. To learn about someone like Jesus. Jesus is not a religious figure. Or learn about some other avatar who came and taught how to be human. Jesus is a level of consciousness, and once we can actually start to look at Jesus through non-religious eyes, through a perspective of, oh wow, if Jesus is just showing us how to live a life as best we can as human beings on this planet, then maybe there is a certain instruction manual there that we can follow and that can help us connect more with God. And really what I'm seeing is that if God is coming down in human form, God could be in any form. God could be animal, alien, stone, is all of these things. But as a teacher to humanity, then God would no doubt take human form, because that's how we're meant to relate to God, is in human form, because we're human, of course. But to know the Father through the Son, then really to know God is to actually know God, is to have a relationship, is to feel the presence of God. And Jesus is a person who is able to show us how to be and in life, so that we can start to drop a lot of the egoic self, drop a lot of the stuff that's getting between us and the natural vibration of God that's within us. So to really know God is actually just to reveal the vibration and the feeling of the presence of God within us. And at the moment, that doesn't necessarily need religion, doesn't necessarily need churches, or, yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't need the Bible, it might be a good place to go, but on your terms, on God's terms. God, the relationship of God should be a relationship with God, not religion. Not just, okay, you've worked hard to have this relationship with God, to open yourself up to God and say, God, show me this, show me that. But now that you have, and God's answering your prayers, now you say, well, I believe in God, then I'm going to go to church, and then now I'm just going to listen to what other people say about God. That's religion. That's where, like, churches and all sorts of organisations can come in, manipulate you by saying that they know who God is and they know what God wants for you. Now, having a certain amount of religion, in a way, as in religion, as in legion, as in coming together with other people, community who are, celebrating and learning about God and learning about Jesus, or another avatar, another figurehead which can help people towards the relationship with God. Now, that's not a bad thing. But when it's somebody getting in between your relationship with God, this is where the manipulation can happen. So if you've got somebody who's helping you, then they should stand away from your relationship with God. They shouldn't be in the way. They shouldn't be in the middle. They should be on the side. They should be supporting you in your relationship with God. You have that relationship. You have that conversational relationship with God, and you build that relationship. And that's where something like religion, or that's where something like communities, people should be on your journey. They should be beside you, not between you and God. They should be beside you, helping you in your relationship with God, in your relationship with the avatar such as Jesus, to know what Jesus was teaching them, then to know what he's teaching you now, to show you how you can start to feel the Spirit of God within you, to feel God, to know God, because we have the essence of God as our natural birthright. We are not gods, we're humans, but we have the natural birthright to come to that vibration of God within us. Jesus shows us the way. That's it. Doesn't have to be much more than that. Simply, Jesus shows us the way, how to get out of our I-ness, our ego self, our selfishness, our materialistic viewpoints, our old habits, our old addictions, our desire for control, our selfishness, our I-ness, our separateness that this world has become enveloped in, our minds have become enveloped in, programmed. Jesus is simply showing us a way out. And for me, in that room, I'd come through this material realm, I'd come through that level of I consciousness, I'd built a business, I'd done this, I wanted that, this is how I want life, this is how I've been told to have life and to do life. And suddenly I've at a point in life and I'm like, why is this not working? I got a business, I got a nice little house, I got this, I got that, but there's something just not feeling good in me, not feeling right. So at the end of it, I was just like, you know what? The truth is, the way I felt is like, I'd rather live without any of this than live at all. I'd rather give up my business, I'd rather sell everything, I'd rather just go and, and no disrespect to people on the streets, but it probably wasn't what I wanted, but I was prepared to let everything go and just let life, let God direct me, and to go through whatever I had to find myself again, rather than be caught up in this material realm. In the end, I just let it go and I said, have it. I'm unhappy. I don't have any energy left to keep this material world going. Show me. And God did. And God, that word God, is so flipping scary that we name it anything else. You can name it anything. Bob, Jim, Jenny, life. I don't know, what is it these days in spiritual circles? The great oracle of space and time and divinity, the all-seeing, blah, whatever you like. But let's, no disrespect to God, but let's not put lipstick on a pig. You know, let's not make it look anything other than what it is, which is really God. The absolute everything there is, the all, the nothing, the alpha, the omega, the all that is, the essence of creation, the very thing that we are made of, the very thing that animates us. God is simply having an experience dressed up as everything you see around me, dressed up as me, dressed up as this jumper, dressed up as everything, dressed up as the flower, animating the flower, animating the growth of the flower. This is God. No more, no less. We don't have to be offended. We don't have to take ownership. We don't have to make it religious and put it up on the big walls of churches and cathedrals just because, you know, we want to take ownership and we want to indoctrinate others with our perception of who God is. We can make our mind up for ourselves by having a relationship with God. And God can just be who we are, can just be our very nature, can just be our friend, but also can be the very, we can find that fulfillment within ourselves, because that is where God is. We have that God nature within us. We have the ability to feel that presence within us that has been clouded and crowded out through our ego and our materialist searching, seeking, desiring. And so to find that within ourselves is through a teacher such as Jesus or another avatar, or a different way. But you don't even have to find someone like Jesus. That's my path. It's not necessarily your path. I'm not saying go and find Jesus. That's not what I'm saying. You may not be ready for something like that. It may never be part of your path. What I'm saying is, for now, if you're noticing resistance to the word God, if you're running around everywhere trying to find the fulfillment through external means, because you're resisting the very place that, the very thing that you are seeking, then it's likely that your resistance to God is what's causing this hole, this emptiness, this desire for constant external fulfillment. Wow, it's a long one, isn't it? Some of you will keep with me, some of you won't. Some of you will hate this and some of you won't. Some bits of it may resonate and some of it won't, and that's fine. But what I'm saying to you is just give it a try. Say to God, hey, give me a sign. Where do you want me to be? What do you want me to do? But it might just take until every conceivable other option in life has been taken away from you, is a dead end, for you to really put your hands up and say, God, I'm here to do the work that I'm here to do, that I've been avoiding. I'm here to listen to you. I'm here to take instruction from you, because I am fucking lost. So help. And that was my prayer, really. And God has been guiding me and directing me, and I'll talk more about that another time. But scrap religion for the moment. Start relationship. That is the key. Relationship with God. In whichever way God guides you to build that relationship. And let Him guide you in a way to how to know God and how to live life through God's guidance. And honestly, the intelligence is mind-blowing, even if sometimes we can't understand why we're being guided in some of the things that we've been guided to do. I'm going to leave it there because that's half an hour, folks, and but I appreciate you listening, and post some comments if you like. I know it's a lot to take in, and this is my experience, not necessarily yours right now. Maybe for now, maybe for years to come, maybe something will just ring in your ears. For now, it may be something you just want to switch off. But thanks for listening either way.